One of the biggest pain points is there is a lot of misinformation out there.
Welcome to StaffBuffalo's Pain Points podcast.
Welcome to the next episode of the Pain Points podcast. We're over at East Leaf Dispensary right on Clinton Street. I have the owner, Gina Miller, and I have Taylor Smith here. So I would love to know how we got here, how everything, the genesis of East Leaf. So would you mind telling us how you started in your career and what really navigated you in this direction?
Okay, so I came from corporate and had a decent career at Geico.
So what were you doing in corporate?
I worked for Geico. I worked there for a little under 10 years, and we always, myself and my husband, always wanted to have our own business. Didn't really know where we would do that and what industry. We thought liquor store. We visited the one in our neighborhood and introduced ourselves. The owners were eventually going to retire and sell. None of their kids wanted to take it over. They had all gone off in their own careers.
Yeah.
So we floated the idea, and it wasn't for about a year that they came back to us and said, we're ready.
Wow. So just a conversation led into it.
Yeah, just we were interested. Here we are.
Yeah. We're in your neighborhood.
Find us
We'll
when
take
you're
good care
ready.
of it. Yeah.
So we eventually purchased Southgate Liquors in the plaza in West Seneca and have been running that for about 12 years.
Wow.
And
that's all the compliance, all the ordering, all the, I mean,
And
there's a lot to go into ordering.
There's a lot,
in
and
liquor
it's,
store.
I mean, I've never been a small business owner. I took so much information from my early jobs. I always bring back my restaurant jobs, that training. Same with Geico, the training there. I worked my way up from like a customer service rep through to management, and it's been very useful in bringing that to running your own business. And how we got to cannabis really is through my partner and spouse, Glenn. They opened up the industry to anyone who had a prior cannabis conviction, and the first applicants had to have a business of their own and have a cannabis conviction, and he did. So together we applied, and
Here we are
voila.
today.
Here we are.
Yes. Well, I think it's so important too, especially with your history, your 12 years experience in already a highly regulated industry within New York State. So it's like, oh, what's another one?
You would think. You would
So
think
tell me
that's
some
the
pain
case.
points surrounding that.
The cannabis industry is brand new. Office of Cannabis Management is brand new. The State Liquor Authority is not. They are a well-oiled machine. There is no slip-ups.
You just follow the playbook, right?
I never thought I would say it is smooth sailing on that end, but it truly is. And
Perspective.
for real. So you would think, and still it does help, but this is a whole new ball game.
Wow. Well, we're a whole year in, a year plus
We are,
in.
yes.
So congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
mean, that's a huge milestone. And then Taylor, so what brought you here? What brought you to the industry, and how did you decide that this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I actually just recently turned 22, so
Yeah.
I'm still young.
Yep.
I'm still new to it. I started here when I was still in college. So I was going to UB for psychology. Not 100% sure what I wanted to do with that, just kind of exploring my options. I was working as a barista, making bubble tea.
Yep.
And so very different from here, but kind of similar in a
We're
way.
still dealing with people and their
right.
specific needs.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly,
yep.
and that's what I actually loved about that job, was getting to see the regulars and get to know people. And when you have the same people coming in every day, it just kind of starts to form like little friendships. And I thought
You're
that
like,
was
haven't
really
seen
cool.
you in a while.
Yeah,
Right.
And she's a
so-
day oneer, so she's
Yes.
been here
Yes.
since opening.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you really have helped with every single bit of it.
Yeah,
As,
for
She's
sure.
seen all the phases.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I applied here when I was just about to graduate from UB.
And was cannabis always a thing you wanted to kind of get into, or was it just like, hey, this
Honestly,
looks neat and I want to?
I thought it was just a cool industry. Like you guys were saying, it's brand new, so a lot of potential, a lot of opportunity. Wasn't too knowledgeable about it at first, but coming here and between the team and all the great vendors and everyone who's, we're all just kind of supporting each other, teaching each other, and I think I picked it up pretty quick. And
That's great.
always open to learning still.
Now, where do you learn? Where do you learn most of your cannabis expertise, if you will? Is it from more of the partners coming in and doing the trainings? Is it more from going to classes, online classes, Coursera, YouTube? How do you really kind of get into it as you're like, you know what, I know a little bit to be dangerous, but how can I navigate and learn more about cannabis?
I'd say the vendors are super helpful. I like being able to learn specifically about not only their products, but what they stand for. When we first opened, we had a bunch of vendor trainings. Every day we had a couple different ones coming in, and I would take my notes. And like I said, just getting to learn not only their products, because there's so much versatility in this industry. Everybody does something in a different way, and I feel like that's very important.
And just to give some perspective, there are over 500 brands in New York State.
Wow, just in New York State.
So that was
a lot.
It was a little overwhelming coming into it and seeing so many different brands, each with their own product, each with their own process and everything.
Different mixes,
Exactly. So I think that was super helpful, and all of them are great. They provide samples, which is also nice. So I get to know the product firsthand.
Which is important though, because if someone's coming in and they're asking you how it tastes, how it feels, how it hits, you need to know that. If someone's like, hey, I don't want to cough a lot, you're not going to give them a heavy hitter, because you're going to be like.
And I think that's a very important thing in this industry too, is customers want to be able to trust us, so by being able to try the products, sample the products, and letting them know my experiences with it, it kind of helps form that connection. They can relate, and if they come in for whatever, I can kind of help guide them, because like we said, there are so many products on the market. A lot of people are not used to that.
Yeah.
They come in and they're kind of just wide-eyed, like they have no idea what they're looking at or what they're looking for. And so I like to be able to kind of just help guide them and educate them as they need.
So then if I'm coming in and I'm like, I am here because I get headaches a lot, but I don't want anything that makes me super anxious, then you could be like, oh, okay, I have some ideas for you, and you kind of walk them through. So how would you walk me through that if I were just a general person kind of curious?
I would probably ask you first how you like to consume.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of different methods. You have flower, you got your vapes, you got your edibles. Say you like gummies because you don't like smoking. I would probably guide you towards something to reduce anxiety. I would say steer clear of your sativas. But if you don't want to fall asleep, you got to also steer clear of your indicas. I'd probably point you towards something that has a nice blend,
nice
THC, CBD.
Yeah.
I also like to ask, have you tried gummies before? Because if you have not, then slow and start.
That's a different podcast episode.
I always say you can take more, you can't take less.
Yes, especially for beginners too. It looks like a vitamin, just like a gummy vitamin.
They're
It's like, oh, that's one dose, right? It's like, just
and
a little.
It's sweet, and you have a sweet tooth.
So good.
Yep.
Who wants one gummy?
It's just one, and then it's not doing anything in the first 5 minutes.
Right.
Don't take more. Wait a few minutes, see how it hits, then go from there.
I usually recommend having candy on the side so they don't
to get the sweetness. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They all know the unmedicated gummies come to me.
Oh yes, because they're just so good.
I am sitting here in the office and I always want something sweet. And
I do the same thing with my vitamin gummies because I'm like, they say there's no vitamins in it, but tastes good. I'm okay with it. That's so interesting. So then, what do you think the biggest pain point when people come in, how to navigate and guide that? Because a lot of times they'll be coming in and they won't know a thing. Of course, you got your regulars. They're probably like, I want to try a little bit of that, a little bit of this.
Right.
But what about the newbies coming in? What are some of their pain points that they're trying to navigate in the new industry?
One of the biggest pain points is there is a lot of misinformation out there. Since there is such a huge stigma around cannabis, a lot of people are almost scared in a way. They've had to hide it for so long that now being able to come into a place where it's just out in the open is very different to them. And so I think that's the cool thing about being able to educate. That helps break the stigma. And if they have any questions, they can trust us to give them the best information that we can give them to feel comfortable to start.
I think that's great. And I think that especially after people have been told their entire lives that it's bad, that it's like, don't even go near it, it's a gateway drug, and all of that kind of stuff. And what was Reefer Madness? Have you ever watched that?
No.
I have not, no.
Oh my goodness, it was like the 1950s like PSA announcement.
I have heard like that.
Yeah, it's so good. You should play it on the big screen sometime. It's on YouTube. So then I'm so curious. I know that we don't want to get too much into, obviously, the past, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years that you guys have been through all of it. But what were some of the pain points that you were able to give advice that people can kind of get over if they want to open a dispensary or a liquor store or really just go out on their own and figure out, be their own bosses?
I would say you have to be resilient. And the hardest part of opening this was finding your network, finding your people, finding people that are willing to share their ideas, their expertise, all of the above. So you do really feel isolated and you're kind of trying to figure it out, but there's no blueprint for it because it's brand new. And
the rules keep changing.
The rules change and the regulations change and you have to build a team, and StaffBuffalo was so helpful in that. And honestly, that is one of the things. Finding people in places that can help or guide or mentor something. This isn't an overnight success by any means. It is hard work. Mm-hmm. You are going to be making changes. You have to be able to adjust.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you built everything. Your husband built every single detail of this entire place, which I think is absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
And
we made some mistakes. Oh, we made some mistakes.
Any that you want to warn people about?
Yeah. Just, we made, from down to just a little design errors we've made, but it's okay.
Resilience.
Maybe the carpeting, stuff like that. But also, I think the most important is finding a team that, one, believes in what you're doing and also represents you, because we're not always on the floor. So having someone like Taylor and the rest of our team who are forward facing and customer facing representing us is amazing.
That's great. So everyone's pulling in the same direction.
Exactly.
Everyone understands your vision and they're bringing it into fruition.
And they've been so, they're comfortable out there. They do it well, and they understand that things will change. We're all learning. Mm-hmm. Like it's brand new. We're all going to learn as we go, and for a long time.
Mm-hmm. And you're at the forefront too. This isn't new-ish. You've been at the forefront the whole time.
Right.
Just really pushing through everything.
Yeah. I mean, cannabis is not new here.
Yes.
Exactly. I mean, I come from a family that it was never really taboo. I was never a big consumer, but there wasn't a stigma behind it. Mm-hmm. So I'm lucky in that sense.
And I had the opposite experience. My mom was a nurse. So my mom hammered, like, don't you ever, because that's how she felt about it. But she never learned during the nursing, all of her education, anything about the cannabinoid system, anything about it whatsoever. So, like, she's actually finding later in her life very interesting to learn about it. I don't think she consumes too much, but she does like learning about it, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is. And we find that a lot, I think, just with the public.
There's so much to learn.
Or people who've been so far removed from it, it hasn't been in their lives for so many years, are now coming back and curious. Like, what are they offering here?
Well, even when back in the day, you didn't ask, is this sativa or indica, when you got like a bunch of pot. It was like, I don't know, I got real hungry off this stuff.
Right.
Like, you didn't really
I have customers come in all the time and they're like, I have never had this much variety to choose from, and they're overwhelmed with it because they were just given whatever they were given and they didn't care.
No.
So yeah, they're definitely overwhelmed with just
And now
variety.
you can choose which farm it came from.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how do you select your vendors? Because you have a beautiful stock out there of all different types of things. So how do you select your vendors, what you bring in? Do you respond maybe to what the clients want? Like, how do you navigate that?
Thank you for the compliment on the store. We rely on our staff heavily. We have a buyer on the team, a few, but we really all have a full team of opinions.
That's great.
And we are not shy about sharing them. Usually I'll look at a package and say, this is a beautiful aesthetic. I want this on the shelf. But we have team members that pull up the COAs, so the certificate of analysis. They are looking at the labs, they are tasting the product, and they're providing feedback. And then customers. So,
I think
yeah,
that's
we
great.
definitely rely on staff.
And it provides that mix too, especially looking at the COA of like, well, okay, if someone comes in, are we lacking in anything that they could be asking for? Whether it's the way that, whether it's a bomb or a vape or anything like that versus, oh, we don't have enough indicas on or anything to that effect.
Something I like to do too is anytime I'm cashing somebody out and I know that they're trying a new product, I let them know, hey, let me know what you think of this next time you come in. And usually they do.
That's
and
great.
I get all sorts of feedback, good feedback, bad feedback, but it's all useful in helping us
Yeah.
figure out what we want to keep in the store.
Keeping that line of communication open. And like
Right.
you said, kind of having the same people come back over
Right.
and over again, identifying what might make their experience improve next time, I think is really important.
Absolutely.
So with different vendors, you have probably the multinational, you have the local. How do you determine, well, what ones do we want to bring in? Or do you just do a mix, or do you do let the best product win?
I think we're working on that. I think we're working to find the sweet spot because it's still new. Every week we get new brands dropping off menus, products. That is a pain point. Deciding what brands do we keep, what ones should we onboard, which ones should we discontinue. It's an ongoing process. I don't think we're there yet because New York State isn't there yet. There's cultivation and processors still coming into the scene. So we are every day working on that.
And it's very similar to kind of overwhelming when people come to the store. You're just helping to make sure that you're bringing in the best ones, and that's pretty overwhelming.
Yes,
too.
it is. And we don't always know if it's going to be well received by the guests. We rely on their feedback as same as we do.
If it's
the
flying
staff.
off the table,
Right.
flying off the
Yeah,
shelves,
a
a
little
bit
bit of
more.
trial and error. for
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah.
And determining how many SKUs should we have
Yes.
and what type of variety and should we add more of this.
It's a lot. It's a
lot.
constant
It's a
brainstorm,
lot.
I'm sure.
It is. And
And it's very unpredictable too. You know,
Exactly.
you think something will do well and then it'll sit there for a while, and
You're like, oh.
on the other
Yes.
hand, you get a couple SKUs of one thing and then it flies out the door, so you really never know until
And there's
it's
no
in
rhyme
store.
or reason, really.
Yeah.
But I like what you made the point of New York State still opening. So it's not like you're saying, hey, they were here first, we're just going to keep this brand. You're like, well, we want to keep open to the different organizations as they open up. And there's different vape, even cartridges and stuff, and different ways to consume still coming out.
Yeah.
So
And as a retailer, we would love to give every brand a chance and every farmer a chance. And we do. We like to support the local Western New York farms, and we also want to broaden out. And there's items and SKUs in the city that just don't come to us because we're so far away. So we really do try to do a good job of reaching out, and our buyer does an excellent job at just trying to see what's out there, what are we missing.
find what's unique and
Exactly.
different and what
Yes.
people might be attracted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
But
you never know.
it's a challenge.
It's not like they're just coming in and like, hey, I'll have them all back. And
And we're still, we are still in the business of selling. So if
Yeah.
something is sitting on the shelf, it's
it's not a good
hard.
move.
We have to figure out why. Why is
Mhm.
it sitting on the shelf?
Right.
Is it in a wrong place? Have we not tried it?
Is it overpriced?
Exactly.
Is there bad? Does no one know of it yet, and that's why no one's grabbing it?
Exactly. So many factors.
Very interesting. Do you think that, like, have you noticed even like a trend? Maybe the younger kids are doing it more for anxiety, middle for sleeping. I don't know.
Honestly, I'd say we don't have too many younger people coming in to shop, which is something that I've noticed as a young person.
Yeah.
Not many people my age are really coming in. I'm not sure why that is, if they're getting their stuff from other sources. I'm not sure if they just don't have the money for it. I don't know.
Or I mean, it's a generation too that's not really drinking too much. Maybe they're
Right.
also not consuming cannabis as much.
Right.
So
I mean, we still have an illicit market. So
True.
I think that plays a role in the demographic of
Yeah.
who's shopping in legal. And that's another challenge in the industry. Like moving people from the illicit market and educating them on the difference, because I think some people just don't know. Cannabis has been legalized and the illicit market thrived.
Yes, throughout that time, they really weren't
Right.
doing anything to suppress it.
And it's a challenge.
It absolutely
probably for
is.
the state and for the public. Not everyone understands that they're not necessarily buying New York State legal weed.
And I like the legal weed specifically because it's tested.
Right.
It goes through all the rigorous processes. It's consistent. You know what you're getting.
the
and
servings, right. You know how potent a serving size is.
Absolutely.
And that's a very important thing, I think, in my role too, in educating the customers between the difference, because they'll ask me, why is this so much more expensive, or why is this any different from what I get from my friend? And that's one of the big things I like to let them know, is it is all lab tested. You can scan on every single package is a QR code for the COA. You can see exactly what it is that you're consuming, and I think that makes a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable as well with purchasing from us instead of the illicit market.
I completely agree. And even if you kind of take it back to wine too, wine doesn't have any labels on what's in it. Did you ever notice that?
No?
Yeah, so on the back it won't say if there's any kind of anything additives in it or anything like that.
Right.
Which I really love, that within the cannabis market you can really see everything that goes into your body, and I think that that's really important, and I think
Right.
that sets it apart from even the liquor industry, because it's just two different ways to kind of look at it.
For
Right.
sure.
That was one thing I was not as versed on. This is more, I compare it, instead of comparing it to like the liquor industry, more to like the food industry, where a specific batch could be recalled. And if there's a recall, we have hopefully the customer profiles who purchased it, and we can reach out. You get the text messages from your grocery store if you
brought the lettuce.
purchased exactly the recalled. So there's a duty on us to make sure that we're keeping up with it, and the state is as well, and the growers and the processors. So
Yeah.
it's a chain of responsibility.
And I think that's important, and
It
that
is.
is why it makes it more expensive, and all the regulations, all the taxes surrounding it. But at the same time, it is building up to be an actual industry. So I think that that's really important, that it's going to take some time until the illicit market continues to shrink. But as people are seeing more value in the variety of products, the different ways that they can consume, I think that makes a big difference.
For sure.
So what differentiates East Leaf Dispensary from any other dispensary?
I would say just the true journey, from true grit and journey. Glenn, my partner and husband, we feel very grateful and blessed to be able to come from a legacy market and have that stigma of convictions, and it carried through his whole life. He had his first conviction as a teenager. So had that not happened, his life could have been drastically different. And now he's doing what he loves legally.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. And we're part of the business. We're not absent owners. We have no investors. There's no outside influence. It's true small business, mom and pop. Like, the owners are involved. We have opinions, we have visions, and we have a team that is very connected with the community and wants to connect with the guest and provide a level of service that is a step above what everyone else is doing.
I love it. And I love just the vibe when you walk in. I love the aesthetic. I love just how you feel. I love the products. So you guys are doing such a great job.
Thank you.
And then what keeps you working here every day? Like, what day in, day out just makes you just really, truly like love what you do?
I'd say my team is number one.
Yeah.
Glenn and Gina are amazing, supportive. All of the other staff, we just help bounce ideas off of each other and support each other and bring each other up, which is really cool. I told Gina the other day, it feels like when I come into work, I'm coming in to hang out with friends, which is super cool.
So much easier than really going to work.
It makes a difference. And
Yeah, and then second thing would be the customers, for sure. I love being able to educate and being able to help people. Just being able to talk to the community and talk to customers. And like I said, we have so many regulars that come in, to the point where we know each other by name, and and to build that trust is really important, I feel like. And people come in wanting to alleviate any symptoms that they have or just wanting to have a good time, and that's what we're here for, and that's what gives me purpose in this role.
You're the cannabis guide.
Yeah.
You're like, let me guide you through it.
Right.
I think that's
Went from
fantastic.
barista to canista.
Yes.
Ooh, canista. I like it. That elevated
Right,
level,
right.
which is great. So, how can they find East Leaf Dispensary?
We are in Cheektowaga, 2442 Clinton Street. We are right on the corner of Clinton and Harlem, in between consumers and pocketeers.
Great location.
It's excellent. Where else can they find us?
eastleafdispensary.com. We also just came out with an app on the App Store, so if you just search East Leaf, it'll pop right up. We have our live menu on there, so anytime we get new products in, it'll pop up right there. We do online ordering, so you can place your order for pickup. We just launched delivery as well, so you can do that all through the website.
Amazing. And then I hear there's a second location brewing.
There is. We will be opening up in East Aurora. We're really excited about that.
Is it going to be East Leaf as well, or are you going with a different name?
It is likely going to be East Leaf.
Great.
Yeah, ELEA.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, so, and you may see some familiar faces there, and we're really excited. We think it's going to be a really nice place, a sister store to this store.
It's perfect. It's in two completely different locations.
Absolutely.
You can have two completely different vibes. I think it's great.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations on all
Thank
your
you.
success. It's been absolutely wonderful chatting with both of you. And definitely
for having us.
visit the dispensary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Pain Points podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to follow us so you never miss out on future episodes.